everybody, and welcome to Game of Thrones with Jay, Jack, and Nick. My name is Jay.
I'm Nick.
and I've always had blue eyes.
Yeah.
It's been so long, Nick. You forgot the order. How we go?
Well, no, because it is Jay, Jack, and Nick. So I don't know why I was expecting you to say I'm Jack, and then I'm Nick. But then I'm like, oh, that's right, because Jack always comes up with a smart alecky something at the end. It has been so long. It's been almost 2 years, people.
It has been a long time.
And 95 days, I think, was the official count.
When I saw that posted yesterday, I go, what? Has it been that long?
Summer of 2017.
And I had no time
we watched
to
an episode in Comic-Con.
Late August 2017. And
yeah.
Just, whew.
I think I did a rewatch like a few months after it ended.
and then
I said, okay, I'm good. And I waited, and then I just forgot about it.
That's what, like, I every time I saw that meme on Facebook of, congratulations, it's been 500 something, and like the wine going up, it's like, it's been 8 years since the last book, Cry Me a River.
There's never going to be a book, Nick. Just accept that fact now.
When did the series start?
2011.
2011. So it's been 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he hasn't written a book since the series came out. Dance with Dragons came out in, I want to say May. It's either March, April, or May of 2011, and then the series debuted that summer of 2011. Because he thought, like, oh, here's the book, here's the beginning of the series, and then the next one should be out in probably 4 years, and that way I'll have enough time. By the time it catches up, I'll have the next book, and it just never happened. So basically, he had time.
He had time, but he is known for being an extremely slow writer because he started writing these books in 1990, 1991. The first one was published in 1996. So, and then 98, 2001, 2005, and then 2011. And he's in his, he's in his 70s. And the thing about George Martin, and he fully admits this, is that he doesn't say no. So there's people out there that he's been friends with for years who'll say, hey, can you edit my book? Or can you edit my series? Or can you do this or that? And he'll say yes.
Can you come on our podcast?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
Well, that's lame. That's his excuse. He talked crap about the ending of Lost, and he can't even end his own damn books.
I think we talked with Ryan and Jen. We talked about. We said, "Oh, he's just waiting to see how it ends, and if everybody likes it, he goes, yeah, that's the way I was going to end it. Yeah, if they don't like it, don't blame me. I told him to go this direction."
Exactly. He's waiting it out, and
he's got a no lose situation.
Yeah. He gave them broad strokes of like how it should end, but he's already said that it's good. The books are going to be completely different, as in minor characters and minor stories and things like that. But the overall story arc will be the same.
Well, I guess so much for getting him on the podcast now after Jay bashed him.
That's true. It's always Jay's fault.
It's fine. Put it on me, George R.R. You stink. You're stinking up the place with your slowness.
I figure we'll just ambush him at Comic-Con, just stick a mic in front of him, be like, "Hey, live here with the."
We have seen him at Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah,
we have.
Yes, he walked by with. Yeah, he seemed pretty happy.
Ladies of the night
with bronze ladies.
Yeah, bronze ladies. Yes. Which one has pox?
Which what? What? That was one of the funniest lines of the episode.
Yeah, and so Game of Thrones is back, and thusly. This show with Jay, Jack, and Nick is back. It's the last season of the show and also the last season of this podcast. So,
aren't we doing? They're doing a prequel.
They are doing a prequel. It's going to be, I think, The Long Night, which is the first war between the White Walkers and
I was going a different direction when you said Long Night. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And how the wall gets constructed and all that. I think that's what the prequel series is going to be about. So, yeah, whenever that comes out, I guess we can talk about some more Game of Thrones.
I guess you guys can. I'm retiring from Game of Thrones, effectively.
Why? Why?
We'll see. We'll see how the prequels go. Because I don't know. I mean, it could be a Fear the Walking Dead situation. I mean, to be
fair to Fear the Walking Dead was dying.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But so is George R. Martin writing this prequel?
I don't think he is.
How
Well, I mean, it's definitely from the source material, and he probably tells them enough of what should happen. But yeah, he'll let them. But
what should happen over here?
I can even tell though between the first few seasons where they were really basing it off his story and his dialogue versus like this past episode, last night's episode, where you can see where some of the dialogue and this is kind of like, really, who wrote that line? So that's like that is where you're saying like the Fear the Walking Dead thing, where someone who else is trying to write characters versus the actual not the source material.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's nothing, and I love that we have Nick on the show just for her to say, like, well, it's not really write that character.
Who wrote that line?
It's just it's not in the spirit of the way the book.
When I said, "Hey, bud, what are you sitting out here waiting for?" An old friend, man.
Hey,
wasn't.
I can hang up right now.
It did have kind of a California vibe to it.
We've got 6 weeks, or is it? How many episodes? I think it's only 6, right?
Six, yeah.
I thought the episode was going to be longer.
Yeah, well, this one's short. I think they continually get longer.
Yeah, I think this week's 54 minutes.
I was going by the information that all the episodes were at least an hour and a half, and when it ended, I went, because it was a cool ending. I'm going to tell you right now, I thought the ending was perfect.
Well, what's great about this, it's only happens twice, but this episode mirrored a lot of the very first episode, the pilot, and that's what's neat about it.
Yep, exactly.
And since it ended short, I even watched the after where they talk to the writers and producers and stuff. You don't normally just go, okay, I got enough. But I watched that and I said, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Well, you have 54 minutes this episode. Next week's gonna be like 58, and then I think it gets into the hour and a half episodes for the last 4. And I think episode 3 is the Battle of Winterfell, right?
I haven't actually looked at the title. I didn't know they had released the titles yet.
I believe that is correct.
I think Ep 3 we're going to get the Battle of Winterfell, which is supposed to make the Battle of the Bastards look like Child's Play or something. So,
no doubt.
It'll just be interesting to see how it all plays out. It's going to be over in no time at all, which is crazy. But we will be here to talk about it, to give our thoughts and opinions on it. And with us is the sage book reader Nick Dunn, who's always good at sharing his opinions on things, and that's why he's great on the show.
No, he didn't hold back. That's true.
Sometimes unwanted opinions.
Well, speaking of unwanted opinions, I'm sure you loved everything at a celebration this weekend. Are you doing a podcast with Owen and Baru's barbecue this week?
Yeah. So Matt apparently has already jumped the gun on us and did a part 1 with his kids of the reaction to the trailer, and me, Matt, and Chris are going to record, I think, this coming Thursday, and do a reaction to the episode 9 trailer and the Clone Wars, the new season of Clone Wars trailer also was released. So nice. We should have some pretty good topics.
Are you going to talk about the Mandalorian show?
We probably will do the Mandalorian. I have not watched that trailer yet. I don't think there's a good copy of it online yet.
I found a okay copy. Yeah. Looks freaking awesome. And for $6.99, Disney got my money. I
assumed it was you guys because you guys talked about it last week.
Oh no, that kind of came out of nowhere. Like I think Matt told me this morning or maybe last night that he's, oh yeah, our kids already recorded it. We're releasing it. And I was like, okay, it's your show, Matt.
Should be fun. It should be fun. I think Matt should just do a special with every single podcaster on the trailer because it looked like a lot of fun. All right, that you can check out on a network, jayandjack.com, Owen and Bruce Barbecue. But enough talking about other stuff.
Still the best title.
Yes. It really is. What would be the Game of Thrones equivalent of Owen and Bruce Barbecue if we had a title like that?
That'd be like Red Wedding, wouldn't it? Be something like that.
That'd be too simple.
Yeah.
But yeah,
something along that line.
That's why we need Chris here, because Chris is good at stuff like that.
He is. Well, one of my favorite memes, internet posts, was this is a non-spoiler spoiler for tonight's episode, and it was little shrimp legs around a little bowl of.
I saw that.
thought that was hilarious.
What about I slept with my sister podcast?
I think we get the wrong. I guess we get the wrong audience for that.
Yeah, one. It's like, wait a second, that's not what I wanted.
I pushed a kid out of the window.
Yeah, talk about awkward. Oh, and all the memes about Bran just staring off into space.
Could Bran outstare Clint Eastwood? That's my question.
Well, he's not really staring at anything. He just kind of looks off in the distance.
Well, he's got all that stuff going in his head because it's like Sam said, Bran does whatever Bran does.
Right. Well, you kind of wonder. Like I wondered. I mean, we can go ahead and get into it now. Like I wonder what you guys' opinion of Bran is, because like he basically isn't Bran anymore. He's kind of said that I'm the three-eyed raven.
Yeah.
And you wonder, is Bran really gone? Is it because he's just this kind of bland, emotionless person? And you wonder, I think we might have talked about this, almost 2 years ago. Is it because he is seeing the present, the past, and potentially the future, to where emotions are irrelevant to him?
Yes, but I will say that I think there should be, or maybe could have been, better direction for the actor, just because the previous Three-Eyed Raven I thought was still a really engaging character that was a compelling thing to watch. But Bran right now is just this nothing. It's like staring into an abyss, which maybe that's the direction he's being given. But I feel
that has to be what they're telling him.
Sure, and I'm sure, but I feel
because that's what he's doing.
I know. But
well, that's what you wonder, if they sat him down and said, we want you to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey, because you're basically going to be the HAL 9000, and just I'm sorry, John.
Even HAL conveyed more emotions.
Maybe the actor's upset about his haircut. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
So I mean, I get it. I get why he is, but I feel like it could have been done more compelling. And who's the actor that played he's a famous actor. He's like 100 years old. Did the Three-Eyed Raven before he passed it on.
Oh, Max.
Yes, Von.
Yeah.
Shadow. Anyway,
he's Ming from Flash Gordon.
But it was still really compelling. I mean, he's an amazing actor. So that's where I think it could be done better, because it's just this kind of okay, he's the weirdo.
To be fair, he's still learning.
Yeah, I get it.
He just became a man, as Jon Snow said.
But it's kind of like
no.
It's kind of like
whatever.
It's kind of like Star Wars. Not to go back to it, but where Hayden Christensen said he spoke his lines the way he spoke them because he was trying to emulate how Vader spoke when he was in the suit.
But he shouldn't have done that.
Exactly.
That's on the director, though, too, because someone just said, hey, dude, this ain't working.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not putting it on. I can't remember the actor's name that plays Bran, but I feel like it could have been done a little bit different. But it's not going to happen. It is what it is, and I'm not going to nitpick it. And for those who don't know, we have a segment called Nick's Picks. Nick's Nitpicks, where he will break down what annoyed him, as well as we have a little bit for what happens in the book stays in the book, as well for this episode. So yeah, what's your thoughts? Or are you saving it for a nitpick?
Well, I mean, I could throw in a little subtle ones here and there, but first off, we should just start with the new opening crawl, not crawl,
yeah.
but because it was really neat. Because we have the traditional, which has been in every single one of them, just the King's Landing, Winterfell, and the Wall. Those are the only three that have been in every single one of them, and so they kind of had to fill that with something else. When I thought it was really clever how they did, because they actually went inside Winterfell, they went inside King's Landing. I was like, this is really cool, And what was really neat, though, is if you really broke it down, was just the wall stuff to me, because you now see a collapsed wall and these little blue tiles that are flipping over to show you the progression of the White Walkers or where they're going. I was like, this is really cool.
Is that spoilery, though? Because to me, it's like, okay, I know they're at what was the place?
Last Hearth. Yeah, because that's
that kind of spoilery, or
yeah, I mean, if you had put two and two together, but it's so quick, most people aren't thinking. If you actually look when they get to Last Hearth, the city is a spiral, just like the Children of the Forest symbol.
And so you're like, oh. So it's showing that it already belongs to the White Walkers.
Yep.
So I was like,
exactly.
that's pretty cool.
Because that's where I was like, when they sent the kid, I was like, oh, he's dead.
He's dead.
He's going to be a zombie ice kid.
It was almost like an Aliens vibe, you know, where the kid's up on the thing. You know?
Oh,
like
yeah.
You just need a chest burster coming out right there.
Well, I was just like, the second they're in there, I kept telling Colleen, I was like, nope, get out of there. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. And then
I jumped.
The kid, and I was like, oh, what's going to happen? Is like, nope, oh, there's his eyes.
Yeah. It's kind of like, because it's like a combination of Aliens and The Thing. Like, you just need like a little bit of flame, you know, to make him scream, and there you go. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Just, but also, what I'm also curious about is, you know, Jon Snow's sigil next to the actor's name. And you know how they're, you know, because everyone's always looking at the map, but if you look at their names, it always has, you know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It always has, crap, I'm forgetting his name. But the actor who plays Jon Snow, it's always been a wolf. Kit Harington. It's been the wolf next to his name because he's a Stark. Well, now for the next episode, will it switch to a dragon? That's something I'm curious what will happen.
Well,
not if it's up to him.
Yeah. I'm not king.
Dad lied to me.
Oh, a really cool thing that I saw on the internet today was in the first episode, you know, there's that scene where Jon Snow's going off to the Night's Watch and Ned Stark is going south. And, you know, Jon asks, you know, can you tell me about my mother? And then, you know, when I see you again, I will tell you. And this was the first time that Jon Snow had been in the crypt and seen, you know, the thing of his father. And that's when he gets told about his true lineage, his true mother.
That's true. That is a very subtle, but a neat way of looking at it.
Yeah, that was cool.
He might not be Ned's son, but he does have, Jon Snow does have Ned's values.
Or from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, he might have been your father, but he weren't your daddy. You know?
But he does have that. He does have that. You know, it's. You know, he puts the North first. He puts everything first. That's a Ned thing.
Yeah,
it is
absolutely.
a Ned thing.
I mean, it's just like what he said to Theon. I think in the last season, where he said, "You betrayed everything our father taught you," and then he's like, "Well, I always felt like I had to choose between Greyjoy and Stark," and he said, "You never had to make the choice. He's part of you, just like he's part of me." It's like exactly.
Yep. And well, if we want to just go into that, Theon saved his sister, so he wasn't such a loser.
He got headbutted though.
He did, which was
fair.
Was
one. Well, he deserved it. I expected more from it. I think before I even would have turned her loose, I would have been like, "You can kill me after I cut this." Because I mean, I think a lot of people were like, "Theon, really?" Like, he just jumped over the side of the boat. He's such a coward. But yeah, I think we're going to get a nice Theon.
Well, to be fair, he's a coward because of what he went through.
Right. That's what he was still reached, kind of.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he came back. Is he redeemed, or do you think, Nick? It seems like you're saying there's more to his redemption story because he wants to go back and fight with the Starks. I fully expect him to get to Winterfell, and you could even have Arya and even Bran, but Bran probably won't care because Bran's emotionalist. But yeah, exactly.
Well, he can hang out with Jaime.
But there's definitely. I mean, think about the people that still live in Winterfell that know what Theon did or think what he did.
True.
And how many people might try to kill him or have an uproar about that? And then John's going to have to be like, "No, we forgive him." Blah blah. And I mean, I expect definitely some drama to happen there.
But like I said, the North.
Remembers.
You have that, and you have to earn their trust. And, and Theon has. I mean, there's no way. So I think maybe he does come back and he gets popped.
That'd be kind of lame, though. I mean, that would be the George R.R. Martin way. But in this post R.R. Martin world, they go for the satisfying conclusions generally.
I'm back.
Or a bittersweet, satisfying end. But yeah, so I think that was an interesting story.
I felt it was rushed. I mean, it was probably one of the few, and because they could have added another scene or two and made it just an hour, a little over an hour long episode, because really all you get is the very beginning there with Euron and Yara being on the boat, and he's with probably one of the first cringeworthy lines in the episode of him going, "I'm going to fuck the queen." I'm like, okay. And then then the next time you see him is when Theon rescues her, and then that's it. The next scene is him saying, Yara kind of being his queen, or his older sister saying, you should go to back to the Iron Islands and set up a base in case the queen fails, and they need to get to the islands where the White Walkers can't come. But then she recognizes, no, you want to go fight. And I think she's kind of proud of him in that moment that he's.
Are you going to really fight, or are you going to jump and hide again? Are you going to run away?
Right. But that's it. That's it. That's all you get for the entire episode of that. And you're kind of like, oh, that was it. But I guess that's all that really needed to be told. But it seemed like the pacing of it was not right.
It was good for me. I had enough.
I'm glad it was good for you, Jack.
Yeah. I mean, I really didn't need more.
For Nick's look-alike, I think he wanted more for Theon.
I do. I like Theon. I mean, even though he's not a great character, I've always liked his story arc, because he goes from being this kind of like Jon Snow in a way, that he was this ignored other person's kid, to in the shadow of Robb, to now he's a confident, arrogant, wants to be king of the Iron Islands, to just this humbled. It's just an interesting, especially as an actor, like what all he had to do to become these different versions of the same character.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot of really good character arcs in this one. I think and especially if he gets his redemption in some sense, or he gets to die a hero or something, right. I think could bring a satisfying conclusion to it.
Yeah. Because I think
Sansa welcome him back, right? No, seriously, he helped her.
That's
escape.
True, but he also brought her. Well, yeah.
I mean, they seem pretty forgiving right now.
But Sansa seems to hate everybody at the moment too, though.
Yeah,
she's her mom.
Yeah,
when she's standing there, you see her mom. When she just gives that look and that stare, that's the mom. She doesn't have a lot of Ned in her. She has mostly her mom.
Yeah, I think that's true though, because that's even in the books they've said that Sansa got their beautiful looks from her mom, whereas in Arya was called Arya Horseface. She's not. She looks like a northerner, just a dark-haired, kind of stumpy, not attractive.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, and speaking of Arya, I like the way this episode opened, same way as the first episode where you had a young Arya with the Stark helmet, just trying to see the Baratheons procession.
Right. And then all of them waiting there exactly the way they were.
Quick question, though. Where did they put all those troops?
Well, I think Sansa said that. How am I going to?
I know, but I was agreeing with her. Okay. There was a few tents outside.
There was a lot of tents. They just covered in snow. You didn't see them as well.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. I kept expecting a big chain to pop up, because I was just like, where are these people going to stay?
Yeah. There was definitely some little bitty quirks of mine watching that, of just wow, those Unsullied, they gave them a little bit more clothing, but I bet they're still freezing. Just because they're just a little bit of leather on them, and they're still walking all the way from King's Landing, which is
as we heard from Tyrion, not freezing everything.
Yeah. So we waited 500 something days for this episode. The very first spoken line we get is about balls. What?
Yeah. That it's Tyrion. It's kind of true to character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Sure.
And then. But yeah, I agree. It was so that was neat. I'm glad that a lot of people picked up on that, the mirroring of the episode 1 from season 1, with Arya kind of running around, wanting to be this rebellious kid, not being part of the group.
Well, it wasn't hard because they talk about it in the. Kidding.
Well, I didn't watch that, so
that's how I picked it up.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that either, Jack. But hey, good for you. You watched the video.
I did.
And then even at the end, which we don't have to talk about, but yeah, same kind of ending of wow, this is neat. The same ending relationship of the two people to oh, this is cool.
Yeah. No, absolutely. absolutely. Do you want to talk about any of the other reunions? Because now we finally got the Arya and Jon Snow reunion, which I thought was really sweet.
Well, I like how he says, "You snuck up on me," and he goes, how did you survive a stabbing in the heart?" He goes, "I didn't."
Yeah, for real.
I thought it was a great, and how he's questioning why are you for Sansa, because they used to hate each other. And she's for family, so I liked it.
This was one of those that I think just as a book reader, I mean, I was fine with it, but I wanted more from it because it's really well established in book one that because Arya's, the not the pretty girl, she's always, yelled at by Sansa, she's yelled at by her mom, and Jon was always the bastard, so he's not really part of the family. So they're the two that are the most bonded, and they really, really care for each other. And that's why he made Needle for her. It's just like, I'm going away. Here's a present, for you and all this. And I just, like you see it right there when she's watching him ride into town that she almost starts to yell out like, John, but then she doesn't. She restrains herself for some reason, which I'm just kind of curious what they told the actress at the time, or how it was written.
Maybe because he was writing next to the Queen.
Maybe, but I don't know. I liked it, but like I said, I don't know, for some reason I just wanted more of this really true loving sibling kind of not like Lannister loving sibling, but some kind of.
Maybe she also held back because she knows how the North felt about him giving up his crown.
Arya doesn't care.
I know, but she waited till after. No more.
Oh,
crap.
Right. You mean from on the road, right?
Right.
Yeah, maybe. But that was another little, since Jay already mentioned, I was like, since the me. That was another one where I kind of went, but wait a minute, when she is holding Longclaw, which is his Valyrian steel sword, she goes, it's too heavy for me. Like, we're like, wait a minute, but Valyrian steel is extremely lightweight. So that's where it's like, who wrote that line? Because that's not really right. So that was definitely one of those moments. Where
maybe she was just trying to make Jon feel better. Cause
maybe
he's only like 5'6".
Here's my
and
question.
That's what's funny too, because like if you watch when he hugs Sansa, he actually kind of has to get on his tiptoes to hug her when
I thought he got a running start.
Maybe she picked him up.
Well,
they dirty dancing.
Only question I have, Nick, is when you noticed the Valyrian steel, issue with the line. Were you wearing glasses, and then did you slightly push them up your nose when you made the observation?
Exactly. You pegged it exactly right. It's like, no, yeah.
But yeah, because to me. Is there any other significance of the Longclaw kind of demonstration? Because it kind of seems a little bit kind of like, okay. But is there going to be something down the road why that will be kind of an important exchange about their swords? Or is it just...
Oh, absolutely. There's actually a couple of things that we can go ahead and get into now that I thought were definitely some foreshadowing. The whole... forging of dragonglass into weapons, and you see two key weapons come up. You see a huge battle axe that the Hound takes, and what could that be used to kill? It could be used to kill a giant, a dragon. But I honestly think that Arya, because if you look closely, what Arya requested to be built, it is like a spear / almost bow and arrow type thing, and that could you could see her shooting that and taking down. The dragon with the dragon glass, killing the dragon, and then her having to face off with probably the Night's King, because you've even seen that in the previews of. I'm really looking forward to seeing. I mean, I've known many faces of death. I'm really looking forward to meeting this one. So you could easily see Arya somehow fighting the Night's King with maybe Jon's sword.
Yeah,
something happens to Jon, and she picks it up.
Yeah. I to me, that scene, it absolutely felt like it was setting that up for me. Not so much for her little weapon, because to me I saw it was more like a cool hand, like almost a Darth Maul lightsaber, like a double edge, but she can like disconnect it and go two-handed or go like a staff approach. But spear or a bow and arrow thing would be cool too.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking forward to see where that goes.
What did you guys think of the scene between the Hound and Arya?
It was good. It was
fine.
It's what you expected it to be because she left him for dead, but he's not someone to hold a grudge. I mean, she did what was right.
Mm-hmm. She goes, "I robbed you first."
Yeah, right.
I love those two together. I love the two when they're working together.
They play off well.
We were robbed of a Hound Sansa reunion, which I kind of was curious about too. Him say little bird grew up, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And maybe there'll still be one to come, but I think, Nick, to your point, they're kind of having to move some stuff along so fast that there's just not enough time for it.
Right. Because I think, sorry.
Please go ahead.
I always say his name wrong. God,
Gendry, right?
Gendry.
I think it's Gendry.
Okay. Even that, I think a lot of people even felt probably a little cheated with that because I know there's a lot of people out there that want them to be a couple, which I don't see that happening, but you never know with HBO.
There was still a little bit of... There was a little bit of flirtation.
Yeah, there was a little
bit.
But Arya's still the little girl to me.
Yeah.
She's not, but she's...
Well, I don't think it's in her. I think she does love him in a way. But I see her almost like how Frodo Baggins is at the end of Lord of the Rings. And she said this in, I think, season 5 or 6, where she doesn't want to settle. She even said that to Ned, in season 1, like when he's like, "You're going to marry a lord," and all this. She says, "No, that's not me." And then she even said that. She goes, "I don't want to settle. I want to see what's beyond Westeros, what's beyond west of Westeros." And so I could easily see her catching a ship and just continuing on at the end of this series.
If she gets married, lives a little quaint life in Winterfell, are you gonna push those glasses a little bit further up your nose, Nick?
I'll push them for Nick. I don't want to see that happen.
I mean, I don't want to see that happen. I won't really complain if it does, because if as long as her character is written to where she is satisfied with where she's at in life, then I think I'll be fine with it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You're saying she survives.
Oh, I know she survives. There's only 2 characters that George R. Martin has said that he will never kill, and one is Arya, and the other one's Tyrion Lannister. So Tyrion is his favorite character, and he promised his wife that he would never kill Arya because that's his wife's favorite character, and you have to do what your wife says.
So in other reunions, we have Jorah, getting some thanks given to poor Sam.
God, that was a cold scene.
I loved this scene, though. I thought it was so good. It's probably the best acted scene in the entire episode.
I agree.
Because even just her face of as soon as he says his last name, like you can see it. Like it's just it's very subtle, but you can see it like, crap.
You knew him?
Not Rand. Yeah.
I asked him to do something. He said no. So burn.
Yeah. The best meme I've seen of this was
good.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I was making sure it got brought up.
Yeah, good.
But go ahead.
It's he's like, well, at least my brother's gonna arrive. Not your brother. He's like, my goldfish Goldie. Oh, he was eaten by the cat. My cat choked on the goldfish. And now every time I watch that scene, I will think of that and start laughing.
So does she end up being the queen? Does she get to sit on the throne? I mean, she seems pretty heartless to me.
I mean, if we're going to get into predictions...
let's save predictions. We still got a lot of reunions to get through.
Because I'll be honest, I have not felt good about her since like season 4 or 5 when she was making mistakes left and right.
I think there could be an argument if there's even still a throne at the end of all this, but
it's
neither here nor there. But
someone better, after all these years, someone better be sitting on that throne.
Hey, listen, we could go Last Jedi with it and just throw it away.
Exactly, if there even is a throne. Because you remember in season 2, Dany's vision is of the Red Keep completely burned.
Yep.
Well, then Jon Snow is the one that's supposed to, because I don't think he'll want to sit on the throne.
It's uncomfortable.
If he even lives.
Yeah.
Because he is already dead.
Yeah, I know.
And so who's to say that as soon as the threat is gone and all the magic is gone,
or the Red God has, released him from his purpose, he could die right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, I was talking about this with my sister, because she doesn't want Jon Snow to die. I was like, well, it could be like a Moses kind of thing where he doesn't get to live, in the Promised Land. He's just taking them to there. But
first she talked to me, and then she didn't like my answer, so she went to you. I go, remember, he's dead. I mean, basically, I go, he's just serving a purpose, and I go,
well, you didn't say that. You said nonsensical thing.
That's exactly what I said. I've been talking to her a couple of days, but she goes, I said, no. I go, he's only alive to serve a purpose. I go, as soon as they don't need him anymore, he's dead. He's gone. But now, does he take the throne, though? But does he live? I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't want Danny in the throne. I'm saying throwing out.
That's fine. That's great. I'm glad we got that. But let's keep going through his reunions, because that kind of sends Sam to one, saying she doesn't need to be the queen, but also to she'll get reunion for Sam and Jon Snow in the crypt, where he lets Jon know about his true lineage. Thoughts here?
I thought Jon was going to punch him.
Yeah, it was another one of those scenes that I felt was rushed and not the way I kind of wanted it, but that's just me.
As a longtime R+L individual,
what was wrong with it?
I don't know. It's just not how I pictured Jon finding out. But it was still fine. Of course, I thought it was a bit weird. It was another one of my nitpicks, where the way that Sam comes down and is like, "Would you have murdered my father and my brother?" Or like, what would you have done if you would have known? You didn't know? How did you not know? And I wanted Jon to go, but like, well, it's not like she came in and went, "Honey, guess what I did today? I burned it." And it was like,
well, he just, to be fair to Sam, he just found out that his dad, who he didn't like anyway, but his brother, were killed by the queen. That he just was like, "Oh, hi, queen. Can you pardon me?" Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be curious to see what Jon does with this information. If we're using previous demonstrations of ability, Jon's going to screw it up or do something to completely.
I think he doesn't. I don't think he
situation.
does anything unless he doesn't like the direction Danny's taking the thing.
Well, I think this is a very good. I think I've got it written here in my notes somewhere. It's a subtle setup, I think, and same as with the axe and Arya's weapon and her feeling the weight of Longclaw. I think this is another setup to where you're seeing Sam ask Jon, "Do you think she would give up her crown for you, knowing you're the rightful king?" And so you're going to see a split, probably, because since we only have 6 episodes, it could be probably the beginning or the end of episode 3, probably the beginning of episode 4, if you're right. Jay was saying that's the Battle of Winterfell. Now that Jon has ridden a dragon, will there be a new Dance of the Dragons to where you have 2, or even 3 dragons facing each other? Or they could just hint at it, because they definitely have some kind of drama or some kind of tension between the two, because there's another foreshadowing in that scene with Tyrion and Varys where they're talking about, young love and all this, and then Varys even says, "Nothing lasts," and so it's all kind of a thing of like they're happy now together, but something's gonna change.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and even you bring up Dance of Dragons. I didn't want to mention the riding the dragon scene, but that should have also been a clue to Daenerys, right? That only true-blooded Targaryens can ride a dragon, or maybe she's just not as well versed on the mythology.
Well, she's not, clearly. That's another one of my, I don't want to get all my nitpicks out here, but it's like, I want to know in this entire time, especially with Tyrion being such a clever guy, that no one proposed a freaking saddle. I'm just saying.
Well, maybe the dragons don't want to wear one.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, throughout the history of the Targaryens, there was always saddles and things like that to ride them. And then, it was just like, okay, I'll just hold on. And if I fall off, then this has been a fun alliance. It's just.
Well, on the after thing where they talked to the writers and producers, they said, you're probably thinking, why didn't Jon Snow realize?
What is would he like? Sure, I could forgive him not knowing, but Daenerys doesn't know.
But they said, Jon Snow's not always quick to pick up on things.
Yeah, he knows nothing. That's true.
But Daenerys, she should know.
Well, the thing is that it's kind of one of those muddled things because there's definitely history books that aren't in the books, but the other side stuff where when the actual Dance of the Dragons happened and most of the Targaryens were dying off, but they had plenty of dragons, they were getting anyone that could ride them. They were just bringing people like, hey, do you want to see if you can ride a dragon? And most people died. But there was a few people that weren't Targaryens that were able to ride dragons. So it's not set in stone that you have to be a Targaryen.
Oh, okay.
But we were shown, though, in season 1, because Jon burns his hand on fire, that he is set, to fires. So it's...
Yep. Okay.
But that could be a muddled thing, right?
Right.
I don't know.
So...
Right. It could be something, I don't know. Maybe they didn't know, but shouldn't they have known? But again, it's just a TV show, so there's going to maybe be some inconsistencies sometimes. And Nick will slightly push up his glasses.
It's like Charlie doesn't swim.
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't swim.
Let's talk about Cersei with her plan to let all those people fight it out and die up there, and then I'll have the scraps. Don't know if that's a great strategy, but thoughts on Cersei in this episode?
Yeah, she looked a little constipated, I thought. But it's interesting. Like I wonder if is there no one left after she blew up the Sept in King's Landing, because it's just her and the Mountain hanging out and Wyvern. It's like it's just a dark, dreary hall.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's revealed that the Golden Company has finally arrived, which is a famous, it's actually a world famous group of sellswords. And they promised her, horses and soldiers, but no elephants, sadly.
Yeah. Could Tyrion be having could he be having a plan to attack her without anybody knowing it? No, you don't think so?
That is my books segment.
Because I just don't. Why is nobody thinking? Okay, it's like Sansa. I used to think you were the cleverest person in the world, but basically saying, how could you trust her?
I think what's going to happen with the Golden Company and what might happen will have nothing to do with Tyrion. I think there's another player that will tilt that hand.
Okay. Well,
and I'll get into that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the book section. But, speaking of Tyrion, there is the reunion of Sansa and Tyrion. And I thought that was a sweet scene, but I think Sansa was right to say I thought you were the smartest person, one of the cleverest people, but you're an idiot if you can actually trust your sister.
Yeah.
This was another I thought Sansa was kind of written a little strangely this episode, because I didn't mind the hall scene. I actually liked it a lot. We kind of skipped over that, where the North is kind of questioning Jon, saying, we elected you king of the North, and what are you now? Because he just threw away his crown. But I liked that little bit in the fact that Sansa was like, I didn't prepare for all this food.
Yeah.
But
what does a dragon eat?
What does a dragon? And that was actually another one of my favorite lines, because she says, "What does a dragon eat?" And Dany, because you can take it two different ways, because she says whatever they want, and so she could mean it literally, as in the dragons will eat whatever they want, or she could be saying that about herself because she's a dragon. She's basically saying, "I'll take whatever I want," and I just thought that's so clever.
Well, like you said, when they were giving her strange looks, the North people, but then when the dragon showed up, she goes, "Ha, Yeah, I got him.
Yeah, it was a bit arrogant though. Like you can take it two different ways. Is she smiling at the dragons because those are her children and she's liking it?
No, she was smiling because they were in fear.
That's what I mean. Yeah, because he's literally saying that they don't trust you yet, or they're out, they're cautious of outsiders, and then they fly over and she's kind of like,
it's okay.
Yeah.
I did like the Sansa's line when they were talking about Joffrey's wedding. And she said, the terrible thing, terrible. He goes, oh, it had a few good things.
A few good things, yeah.
It was a subtle joke that she made because she's not Chuckles. It was a good line by her.
But back to Jay's point, I kind of felt that was really odd between Jon and Arya when they're both kind of praising Sansa of going, I think she thinks that she's the smartest person in the room, and then Arya's like, she's the smartest person I know. And I kind of want to go, well, neither one of you have been around her for like 5 seasons. Where do you get this? And where in the show have we seen evidence of her being really that smart? I mean, she's managed to stay alive and good on her, but she usually hasn't thought of any clever plans.
She fell for Littlefinger's stuff.
Well, that's what I mean. Like she knew when to play her cards in that situation.
Yeah, because that was kind of their big moment last season was actually getting the best of Littlefinger. So maybe that's for Sansa where that comes from.
Yeah. Right.
So I think there's something there, but
yeah, I guess I kind of wanted her to be more seen as an equal, and at times she seemed more like a pouting child again. And that's where I was just like, oh, I'm not sure if I like this. But,
I don't know if pouting child. I think she's like a poker player who's not showing her hand.
Mm-hmm.
I think she doesn't trust Dany. She's all about family.
Yeah.
Well, she is now. She wasn't before as a child. But
she's had a life of tragedy that has made her very hardened.
Right.
And that's what I see with her being very,
She's been burned so many times.
Yeah.
That she's okay. I'm supposed to let this Dany lady in, and she's gonna, you gave up your crown, and
yeah.
So I kind of like how they're portraying her right now.
Yeah, I think it totally works within the story. I sent both of you another fun meme of Cersei's disappointment that she didn't get any elephants. The meme is, it's the classic Drake, pointing at something. No, yeah. It's the dragon, but then it's a Dumbo, and then she's like, "Yeah,
oh yeah, I saw, yeah,
that's awesome."
So you totally know that Cersei was like, "All right, she's got dragons, but I got elephants." So I'm like,
I got an elephant that can fly."
I've seen a horse fly.
Mm-hmm. But Cersei, I guess, is sleeping with what's his name now, and.
Yeah, I was just about to say that because that
he didn't really do much to earn it, did he? I mean, first you buy a whore, you earn a queen.
You got it. Yeah.
Okay.
He got what he wanted, but what was more interesting to me was at the end he's I'm going to put a baby in you, and if you remember, she's already pregnant.
Right.
Yep.
So you wonder.
She's like, I can do it again.
Yeah. Well, you wonder what's she going to do in that situation? Will she say that it's his child because she's already planning on killing Jaime now?
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's probably why she went to bed with him.
Well, she did it the previous 4 times, right? So.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's got to work.
It's. She had that smile. I was like, oh, going to do the old switcheroo again. Oh man. And then I think it's the last reunion. It's the most awkward. Jaime gets to Winterfell, and who's the first person that he runs into? None other than the person.
I did love that line though, like the scene before where Sam walks outside pouting as by his family, and he's like, "What are you doing out here?" He's like, "Waiting for a friend." And you don't realize
waiting for an old friend.
Waiting for an old friend.
And it didn't click with me either until
it doesn't click.
I go, oh,
that's what he's doing.
Nice.
Awkward.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, speaking of the last awkward reunion, I thought you were going to talk about Bronn and Qyburn, because that's definitely the most awkward one. You're just there with your 3 girls and then some old guys watching you.
Oh, that's true. Was that really a reunion, though?
No.
Which one has the pox?
I love that line though, because she's like, I like older men, and he's like, oh, poor girl, she'll die within the year of the pox. And you're like, which girl?
Now, do you think Bron's going to actually kill Jaime?
No,
I don't think so either. Well,
we don't know yet if he accepted the deal or not. I did find it interesting though that the crossbow that he got was. It's God, why am I blanking on people's names today? It's Joffrey's crossbow, and then it was the same crossbow later that Tyrion used to kill his father.
Yes, poetic justice.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, no way he kills him.
I'm curious to see just what was Bronn still in King's Landing? What's going to happen with the Golden Company, who is sellswords? He's a sellsword. Like, what could happen between that? And will Bronn actually kind of play the Game of Thrones for once and act like he's going along with it and then change his mind?
Or he gets to like the Battle of Winterfell and it's just chaos and he realizes that, it doesn't matter. Like, he needs to survive. And that's the play that he goes with. Possibly.
I think that's what he goes with, yeah.
All right. Anything else from this episode before we get into Nick's final nitpicks? All right.
That's all
Nick,
I had.
What do you? I know you sprinkled some in throughout this recap, but what were some other nitpicks that you had?
Well, let me get down to them. So, just me. It's more just me being cute and funny, but I felt the title.
Very presumptuous of you.
Just me being cute and funny.
Well, my mind being cute and funny. The title of this episode should have been called "Awkward Reunions" because that's all it is. It's just, oh hey, but it's good. Actually, we did kind of talk about most of this. We did talk about this the scene between the Night's Watch coming down, and we did a little bit, but I did think that was funny with Tormund, coming up, and then the meeting of the Night's Watch, and they're like, "Watch out, he's got blue eyes." He's like, "I've always had blue eyes." But it was one of those moments where when the kid's up there on the wall, and somebody goes, "It's a message from the Night's King." I just wanted someone to go, "No shit, really?" It's just a nitpick of just, who else would it be from? Yeah.
Sure.
Well, there's probably some viewers maybe didn't know.
Yeah. Not everybody's you, Nick.
Yeah.
Nick. Come on.
Gosh.
So, and then this one is actually just a fact, which I thought was, of course, it is a show and it's all magical and all stuff, but you actually can't melt obsidian and make weapons of it. It's too brittle.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
It's because obsidian is just glass. That's all it is. It's glass with a lot of impurities in it from just natural things, earth and things.
Here's my question.
Maybe they figured out some way how to do it.
Couldn't you melt it and then re-glassify it?
Well, that's what I mean. Like there's actually YouTube videos out there where people have tried to do it, and it's basically impossible to do. It comes out as this really gooey substance, and once it kind of starts to cool, it just pretty much takes that form, and then it's still glass, so you can just shatter it with nothing.
So you're saying there's no way to kill the White Walkers?
Well, I mean, I just assumed with a lot of the people that they would just incorporate it, so you could have a little piece of dragon glass along with an arrowhead, or put it along the edge of your blade of your sword, or just so many other things to do with just making regular spears out of it. But to go as far as they did, it's kind of like, well, okay, I know it's a show and it's a fantasy, but it's just one of those where the facts don't back up what you just showed.
Well, I'm done watching it then.
Yeah, I know I ruined it for you, Jack. Sorry.
So every time they're gonna, I go, that wouldn't happen. Nope.
And then we didn't talk about really the. It wasn't really that bad, but it did make me laugh, like the whole dragon riding scene. Of just, I felt it should have been is so Disney. It felt Disney. It should have been played with A Whole New World, with I
thought it was kind of lame too.
Yeah, with Dany just looking at Jon falling off his dragon, going, "Don't you dare close your eyes," like I need a saddle. Come on, like I'm holding on to this
random horn here. Come on.
I will say this, though. The CGI of the dragons has gotten better, though.
It has. It was a beautiful CGI scene for sure.
Yeah, when they were at the fall and he's kissing her and he kind of looks and the dragon goes, I don't like what you're doing.
The only thing I think could have been better is if John, if it would have been a dragon, it would have been Falcor from Neverending Story, and he just would have been riding it, with all of John, his cape and his long hair flowing behind him, and just like, woo! I'm coming for you, Night's King! He jumps into the dumpster. It would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what did he say? He goes, I don't know how to ride a dragon. What happens if something? And she goes, well, it's been nice knowing you, John.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
It was cutesy. As Nick put it, cute and funny.
It's just cute and funny, yeah. Let's see here. I guess, I kind of talked about the rest of them. The only other nitpick I have was where's Ghost? John's, direwolf, because we haven't seen it.
They can't have the same scene with the dragons because it would just be immensely expensive. They're saving it for Battle of Winterfell.
Too much, yeah. They're all the rest of the things I've kind of talked about. I had a little page here, so I'm like, okay. But it's not really spoilery. It's just a theory that I think will happen.
Okay.
So the Golden Company, which is the sellswords that Cersei has hired to help, fight against her future enemies, is famous for never have broken a contract ever. So, which is not in character with traditional sellswords. It's like, oh, you're going to pay me more? Fine, I'll switch to your side. I'll switch to your side. Well, the thing that she probably does not know is that the Golden Company was founded by a Targaryen bastard named Aegon Rivers back during the Blackfyre Rebellion, which was when the Blackfyres, this bastard line of the Targaryens, rose up against the Targaryens that were ruling. Mm-hmm. So I think, because I'll get into another theory of mine, I have always believed that Varys is a Targaryen. Well, not Targaryen, that he's a Blackfyre, which he's a lineage of that bastard line of Targaryens. And this is where I base this theory off of, is that you've seen that in the show that a wizard / sorcerer removed his testicles and burned them in front of him. And if you don't know what was said, but it's hinted at. You've seen that from Melisandre, that a royal blood contains much more magic potential. So right. I've always thought that Varys was probably descendant of Targaryens, and he shaves his head because he has the white silvery hair of that line. So this is what I think is going to happen, because he comes from Essos, the same as the Golden Company does. And this is what we were hinting at earlier. I think that Varys is going to play that card of saying, like, no, you guys are going to flip when I tell you to.
Huh.
Because cool. that whole army is, founded by Targaryens. That's just my theory.
I like it.
Do you think this show would do that, though? Because they seem to kind of just fly by the seat of their pants these days. But
that's
would be
true.
Awesome.
I don't know if they've gotten that far ahead thinking into it, but I think that's a very logical,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Because I've always believed that Varys is really smart, and he holds his cards extremely close to his chest.
Oh, yeah, he does.
And that's when he's always, I want you to serve the realm. And the realm to him is the Targaryens. And because he used to be one. Oh, he is one.
Yes.
And like I'm saying, like, you've seen him. He's the one been pulling a lot of strings. He's helped Dany this entire time. He's the one that helped her prevent from being assassinated. Mm-hmm. Like, he's always been on her side.
That's true.
Right. Which, you're looking back, that didn't make sense at the time.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Well, there you have it. And that will do it for our first episode back for Game of Thrones with Jay, Jack, and Nick. Give us a call at 385-309-0311.
Calling time.
And send an email to GameOfThronespodcast@gmail.com. Once again, it's GameOfThronespodcast@gmail.com. We didn't have any listener feedback this week, but we haven't done a show in nearly 2 years, so that's understandable. But now know.
If we haven't done a show in 2 years, then people had plenty of time to send feedback in.
That's true. That's very true.
They must have sent it by Raven.
Exactly.
Yes.
And with the climate change, the tornadoes took those away, so that's why I never got it. Anyway, that is it. Want to thank people that make the show possible. Our patrons, especially Tack from Tokyo, Eckhart Richter, Maggie the Magnificent, Joanne with the Plan, the Drake, and Ed the Creepy Mailman. Thank you to all of our patrons. You can find a full list at jayandjack.com. And you can become a patron by going to patreon.com/jayandjack. We're doing special bonus episodes at the $5 or more level, doing special live shows at the $15 or more level. Check it all out. It's a lot of fun and helps fund all of these shows because getting an expert like Nick is not cheap.
No.
Nick is moving to Colorado next week, right?
Yeah, I will.
So if you have a TV that he can watch this Game of Thrones on,
as you said, Fort Collins.
Fort Collins, Colorado.
So if anybody listening right now is in Fort Collins, Colorado, and wants to welcome Nick into your home, as long as you're not like weird serial killer, so Dan, do not apply.
Right.
But
hang your children on the walls.
Yeah. But
because without him having a place to watch the Game of Thrones, he won't be here next week.
Exactly. So we'll have to try and find a sub if he can't, but hopefully Nick will be able to join us next week. If not, we'll hopefully find somebody to go in his place, and God forbid it's just Jack and I, because that would be awful.
Well, you know what? I'll do the nitpicking next time.
All right.
I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it funny and cute though.
Exactly.
I make no guarantees.
Only Nick brings the funny and cute.
Uh-huh.
Or cute and funny, I think, is the actual order. Cute and funny. All right. That is it for this show. See you guys next week. Hasta luego and goodbye.
See ya.